Welcome everybody to Go Local Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. Before we go to a very important interview, let me just give you a couple quick updates. It was another rough night in the city of Providence with multiple shootings. This has been about a 6 to 8 week period in which there have been 9 murders, and almost every evening there are multiple shootings or gunfire. So Providence Police is working to address it. But it's something that we unfortunately have to continue to cover it on a daily basis. Also, take a look at a story. Yesterday, the City of Providence mayor insisted on going forward with a tax sale of about 150 properties, most of which were single-family and multifamily homes. Some of those properties were sold when they owed taxes of less than $500. So that took place at 10 o'clock in the morning, finished at about 12:30. It was an online auction. And then later on the afternoon, the mayor introduced a new strategy for anti-displacing folks in economic need. Seemed to be a little yin and yang issue related to a housing strategy. Many members of the Providence City Council had urged the mayor to postpone the tax sale. Also, take a look at some updates in a terrible case that the state police made an arrest yesterday. Somebody who captured power of attorney over 4 different elderly residents in northern Rhode Island and functionally took about $600,000 off those 4 individuals. And as the state police said, this individual regularly frequented Twin River. So obviously a really significant and unfortunate problem there. Let's go to Andy Posner. Andy, how are you, sir?
The answer to this is always doing well, all things considered. Myself, my family, my staff, most clients to the extent of my knowledge, and my board are all healthy and safe, and that's the most important thing right now.
Okay, let's just give an overview. I know you well. We've written about you and had you on Go Local Live in the past, but you've developed one of the most interesting companies in Rhode Island over about the last decade, about the same time as Go Local. Talk a little bit, give us an overview of it, and then we'll go into the meat of it.
Absolutely, happy to. And yes, we've spoken many times over the years, and it's always great to connect. So Capital Good Fund is a nonprofit that I started in 2009. So it's interesting because it was coming out of and in response to the last crisis, which was the great financial collapse and recession. And now here we are, bookended by another crisis. So we do small dollar personal loans for low-income folks. For many years only in Rhode Island. We're now operational in 5 states, so a lot of recent growth. But we're designed to be an alternative to high-interest loan products like payday loans, pawn shops, rent-to-own, subprime auto, buy here, pay here auto, things like that. And the loans that we make range from $300 to $25,000, and they're most commonly used for vehicle purchase, repair, or refinance, security deposit, energy efficiency upgrades for moderate-income homeowners, emergencies, and then we also now have a crisis relief loan product that we can talk about. And additionally, we also do financial and health coaching, which we're now offering on an emergency basis. We have a hotline. So we've done a lot to adjust to the pandemic. But just to give you a sense of our scale, we have 36 staff, most of them in Rhode Island, where we are still headquartered. We recently did our 5,500th loan, and we're coming up on $12 million lent out all time, and we have a 95% repayment rate.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a remarkable organization. It's done remarkable work and really gotten people out of those 18% interest rates and either higher levels of usury that especially poor people have been suffering through. Going into this year, I know we anticipated a recession. I think you guys are at the front end. You've seen where the economic trend was. So I know you guys were thinking about potential recession hitting in 2020. But then we add on not only an economic downturn, but we add on a global pandemic with recessionary or depressionary impacts into the economy. What are you seeing now is the state of most people's economic condition?
Yes. So, and I should note that the people that we lend to are almost entirely low income, predominantly of color, predominantly female-headed households, a lot of immigrants. So, excuse me. So it's, mostly the people who are most vulnerable. And yes, we, prior to COVID, were expecting to see some recessionary activity. That said, I often point out that the people that we lend to saw the least growth, economic growth, during the last 10 years, and so didn't have that far to fall. However, in a situation where the economy had to completely shut down, they've had a long way to fall, particularly those who are working in sectors that you can't, like if you're a restaurant worker and restaurants are closed, then you're kind of out of luck. So immediately, within about 2 weeks of the stay-at-home orders in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and elsewhere, we did three things. The first one was we had already been hearing from our borrowers, our active borrowers, of which we have 2,300, saying, hey, like, not sure yet how this is going to impact me, but would you be able to work with me? So we proactively reached out to everyone and said, if you need it, we will do a 3-month deferment period, no payments of interest and principal. At our peak, we had about 18% of our active portfolio in some form of deferment. That was several hundred borrowers. The other thing we did was we realized we would need to have a loan product that could meet the demand. And so the product I mentioned before was our crisis relief loan, which we created specifically for this moment. And it ranges from $300 to $1,500. The interest rate is just 5%. But crucially, it has a 3-month deferment period built in. So you take out the loan, you make no payments for 3 months, and then you make 12 monthly payments of interest and principal. And it's unsecured, it helps you build your credit, and people are using this for rent, utilities, Wi-Fi bills, cell phone bills, small vehicle repair, food, clothing, all those things that people are struggling with. And we've already done almost 600 of these products.
Amazing.
So the demand has been huge.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, listen, we were talking before we came on the air. The governor cites the number that of the 530,000 people in the Rhode Island workforce, about over 100,000 are presently unemployed. So let's just talk about Rhode Island. I believe it's the smallest state you're operating in. The amount of need that is going to take place over the next 3, 6, 12 months is it's chilling as to what people are going to need for just basic subsistence. How are you developing strategies to be able to begin to fill some of these voids?
Yeah, so I will say that the federal response has been a complete disgrace. And when the enhanced unemployment expired, the additional $600 a month in unemployment benefits expired at the end of July, we knew that was going to have a catastrophic effect on our clients and then just generally the people that we serve, our target market. And we've already seen that. We've already seen an increase in people who are delinquent, falling behind on their loans. So fortunately, we're a nonprofit and we're in a position to, again, reach out to everyone and offer an additional deferment period. When we designed the deferment and the crisis loan, we were thinking 3 months, 3 billing cycles. So starting in the 4th month, people would be back in a position like in other countries that have taken this seriously, where they could start to go back to work. But what has happened is that we have not, Rhode Island's doing fairly well, but we don't have a true national test and trace strategy, and the mask mandates are loosely enforced. And so here we are. And now we're not sure how long this is going to last. I mean, we can defer for a total of 6 months of no payments for folks. At that point, we would at least need people to start making interest payments. And I should note that our portfolio has really not seen any harm until the enhanced unemployment expired. And that should be addressed by the additional deferments. But at some point, we're going to have to take this seriously, or else we're going to start to see Great Depression era levels of hunger and eviction and poverty. And we need to be throwing absolutely everything at this: federal, state, local, philanthropic. But ultimately, it's only the government that has the scale to provide the level of support that's needed. Our product up to $1,500 is a really important help, but it's not enough to prevent the wave of evictions that are coming, for example.
Yeah, and I know the governor's office is working on an anti-eviction strategy, but that's a complex matter. I mean, barring people from And listen, there's the big bad landlord, but there's lots of, three-family houses that resident owns that property and depends on the rents from the other two units to be able to pay the mortgage. So it's not always as simple. And there's things like the Commerce Clause and other
Right.
aspects that doesn't allow government to uniquely interfere in those business relationships. So it is going to be we're really at the beginning of a long, complex economic struggle. And, your phones, I assume, are ringing off the hook. We just talked to United Way the other day that the number of calls they're getting to their 211 number is off the charts, tens of thousands. About a third of those are related to housing, rent, eviction,
Yes.
basic subsistence numbers. Where do you see, you've tapped the Rhode Island Foundation, a partner on this with $500,000. Does private philanthropy and others, business leaders, really need to look in the mirror and take a much bigger, listen, if we're waiting for the federal government to fix everything, that may not happen till January and may not happen till after at all. If we're
Yes.
waiting for them, we're in big trouble. What can we do as a community to be able to assist you and the United Way and others?
Yeah, so you're very right that federal action is really required. And at this point, it's not enough to just have corporate America and philanthropic America provide donations, which are absolutely needed, and everyone should be opening up their pockets and giving as much as they can to forestall devastating suffering, as we've talked about. They should also, every business, every charity, every funder, every citizen needs to be on the phone regularly with their U.S. representative and U.S. senators. Our Rhode Island delegation has voted in favor of the HEROES Act and things like that, but still, we got to let them know that they need to pass this legislation to provide the federal support. Other things, like, for example, going back to your example about the challenge of smaller landlords, there should be federal action requiring that banks not foreclose on homes, or they provide deferments. You need to provide support on both ends, because this is an unprecedented moment that is not the fault of anybody, right? If anything, it's the fault of inaction at the government level. On the philanthropic side, there's need across the board, right? So just for food, for rent. One of the things that's really powerful about our model is that when someone donates to us, we put most of that into what's called a loan loss reserve. And then we lend out $3.50 of our own money, including Rhode Island Foundation money, which we'll talk about, for every dollar that's lent to us. That's donated. So if you donate $10 to us, we'll lend out $35 to low-income Rhode Islanders through our crisis relief loan. And that is certainly an important way to help people by providing effectively liquidity that they can't access elsewhere. And candidly, absent us, people are going to be getting that liquidity on their credit card at 28%, or a payday loan, which in Rhode Island is at 268%, or other places like that are very, very expensive. Yeah.
Andy, talk about this initiative with the Rhode Island Foundation. Who does it help? How do people access it?
Yes. So the Rhode Island Foundation, which is a wonderful philanthropic partner of ours, they've given us grants over the years to support a variety of our initiatives. But they, over the last couple of years, have rolled out an impact investing program where organizations like us can apply for loans or to help support our work. The money that we lend out, we actually borrow. We're not a bank, so we don't take deposits, but Bank Newport and Harbor One and other financial institutions have lent us money. And we've been growing so fast that we always are requiring additional money to lend. We actually have had 4 consecutive months of record loan volume. So we're not throttling back during a crisis. We're stepping up, hiring more people, doing more lending. So the Rhode Island Foundation lent us $500,000 at a very affordable interest rate that's going right into our loan fund to make loans to low-income Rhode Islanders for all the purposes I mentioned, not just the crisis relief, but buying a car, fixing up their home, et cetera, et cetera. And they're looking for additional impact investments to make. So if you are a nonprofit or a socially minded for-profit looking for capital to expand your impact work in Rhode Island, you should contact them. And it's a very simple process to see if you're going to be a good fit for their investment.
Let's talk about, I'm a Rhode Islander, I'm out of work, my mortgage is up, I need some money, I'm in big trouble. How can that individual work with you?
Yes. So if a loan up to $1,500 is enough to, for example, make a payment towards a payment plan with your mortgage holder, then you can go right to capitalgoodfund.org. We just revamped our loan process, so it's even faster now. You can apply for a crisis relief loan right on the site. We guarantee a 2 business day turnaround, excuse me. The whole process can be done in English or Spanish on the website. No need to come to an office or meet with anyone in person. And then if you need more than $1,500, we have our financial coaching program, where right now most of what we're seeing is people calling and saying, look, I hear that there's this, there's food stamps and I've never applied for that. There's mortgage forbearance. How do I navigate this? So our coaches can sit down and say, all right, here's how you apply to get on Medicaid. Here's how you apply to get SNAP benefits. Here are the various forbearance programs at the state and federal level, et cetera. And that also, you go right on our website, you click coaching, and you can send out an inquiry, and we can get you signed up with one of our coaches who are all bilingual.
Great, tremendous. Andy, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. For Rhode Islanders who need help, this is a great organization that has a great track record, and what we love about it is it's a homegrown Rhode Island startup, never to leave its headquarters, move it from out of Rhode Island. Andy, you get the last word. What do Rhode Islanders need to know?
Well, they should go to capitalgoodfund.org if they'd like help from us. And also, please, everyone, no matter how you vote, make sure that you vote, that you're registered. You can go to vote.org to check your registration, sign up to vote, and also to sign up to vote by mail if you wish to do that.
Andy, I appreciate it. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you are super busy right now trying to meet the needs of so many people, not only in Rhode Island, but as the fund works across other states in America. We really appreciate it. For everybody else, stay tuned. We'll have Dr. Michael Fine on at 12 noon, and then we'll have at 12:30 the chair of the political science department at the University of Virginia, Jennifer Lawless, breaking down this week's Republican National Convention and insights into where the political debate takes place next as the two parties move forward out of the convention environment and onto the streets as the election moves forward. Thanks, everyone. Please stay safe, and please wear your mask.